Yes, indeed. Shashingo time. Welcome back, folks. It is day 25 with Shashingo. We are still in the process for like the foreseeable month into the future, right? It's probably more like 2 months before we extract all the kanji from Shashingo. We'll see. There's a bit of overlap and whatnot. And I'm also expanding to a day of rest. So tomorrow will be a day of rest from Shashingo. And the goal right now is to get to our 5th set. Oh, hello there, Camish. So welcome to the Twitch side of things. Yeah. So this game is also produced by a solo dev. You can kind of see the theme of my background if you know what I mean. So this is also a crowd this is in this case this is a crowdfunded edutainment as the developer. I think his name is Peter. I've got his last name. But Peter. Recently this game has a slated, if not already a launch on Switch. So this game is doing fairly well. It is one of the few, I would say, success stories when it comes to the edutainment section, at least on Steam. So I'm happy to say that this game is doing well. So as I'm extracting the kanji, I'm hoping there's a DLC down the line and or an expansion of the game. The way the game is introduced and produced is very modular. So you effectively take pictures and you'll get a flashcard. Cue, pun, flashcard. And then the flashcard has your Japanese vocabulary, and on the back it's like many flashcards. There would be 3 related words with it, and we are extracting all of it by writing, because my output for Japanese is writing at the end, like physically writing. So I'll be using a pen for most parts, and that's kind of how I go about Duolingo as well. So we're here, we're gonna go in. We gotta speed it up because like an hour behind, I suppose. What do you mean by sets in Shashingo? Sets? Oh. Every set is 2 pages. So I've staggered myself by sets. So 2 days. The first day will be an introduction of the set. So it will be 8 vocabulary things, and then everything behind them. Whether they repeat or not, that's a set. So this is a set. And I spend the first day introduction, so I get used to it, write it. I already know all the vocabulary by speech and hearing and reading. But now we have writing sets. So these will be the writing sets. And the first day, I'll try to gather all of them. So all of these at once. The second day, I'll review them. And the third day, I'll be stepping away from Shashingo for a day and then come back. And I'm going to repeat that process until we complete all the sets. So there are 145 terms, 145 things in Shashingo, so flashcards currently in the game, and 144 plus 1. So technically there are 13 sets. So 13 sets of 8, right? And I'm going through them. And I'm also retaking those pictures and using like the themes and stuff, because the game is a photography thing. So we're up to like, this is one set, and you can see that I thematically took pictures just because it's utilizing a lot of the game's little things, and I want to like use the filters and fun little borders. So we're on this set, we're actually on the 5th set, actually. Yeah, 5th set. So we were on this set yesterday, and I tried to do this one. So let's go through them. And each day, I haven't decided if I want to stagger the earlier sets further away each day, so I can save some time. But let's try to like get on it right away. Quicker, quicker, speedy. So let me try to center this. Okay. We're gonna use a different color. Let's see. Let's use like blue. Yeah. All right. All right. So let's quickly go. Go, go, go. So, eki. Eki. Kairu. I didn't mean to put those little tails, but that's fine. Kairu. My hand's wobbly. Still. It'll firm up in a bit. So, konsatsuru. Konsatsuru. Bendy. Okoku. Okoku. Senden suru. Yes. You call. You call. Ugh. My hands still rusty. Medial teki. Medial teki. Ega posta. Just egg pasta. Sorry. Let's see. Oh, miru. Miru. enjiru, enjiru. Kandoteki. Kandoteki. Oops. Eigakan. Miru again? Date suru. Aryoku. Akuryoku. Akuryoku. Okay. Let's swap it up. Okay. See if you can find all the stuff that I'm writing. Feel free to follow along. Ki. Kiru. Oki. Oki. Oh, just kidding. That's not it. Just kidding. Mokse. Mokse. Shingoki. Shingoki. Matsu. Iku. Oh, my Kairu is incorrect. I rushed it. It's fine. We went back to correct it because this radical reminds me. Let's see. Okay. Jutai. Jutai. Denkia. Denkia. Akai. Atarashi. Copy. Are you learning kanji structure from Duolingo as well? I'm extracting kanji structure from Duolingo. So I've taken an approach of just looking, serendipitously discovering patterns on my own. Until something becomes like super frequent as like I would need a pattern to remember them or not. I think the act of writing in general allows you to explore the patterns on their own. I do the same approach in Duolingo. As in, like, I write it, I look at it, I try to make stories out of the structure. They don't have to line up with what they actually mean per se. Like, I have other different attachments and stories and mnemonics attached to radicals. So, it's not to say that it would be kind of fun to go through like a radical book and look at like the historical meanings of them. Whenever someone mentions them, I usually keep it in mind. In the end of the day, I use whatever techniques I can think of, whatever patterns or stories that I can come up with that helps me get to the meaning. And then I have lots of funny little stories, elaborate stories on the trouble ones. And that's kind of how I build up my writing. So nowadays, writing feels like it's a feeling, it's a combination of stories, and whenever I see kanji, I see hirakana. Whenever I speak, I can see the kana and write the kanji at the same time. So sometimes the hiragana now is linked with the kanji, and then structures are linked to each other because of how frequently they might associate with each other due to the feeling of writing. There's very often when I'm in this like writing session mode, I could write something based on what I'm picturing in my head, but speech comes after. So the order might be in different ways, and that's kind of how I'm engaging myself. Sometimes I write something based on what I see. Sometimes I speak something based on what I see. And then sometimes I write something and draw draw the thing or imagine the thing in my head. And occasionally, from time to time, I imagine what it's like to write these actual characters. There's a lot of different ways. I basically try my best to start at different positions as I'm learning, and usually that's how I like play video games and stuff. So oftentimes, one of the fun things about getting your mileage in video games and whatnot is to swap up the approach all the time. Like, what happens? Can you, for example, look at a tree and see the kanji, or do you have to see the kana, speak it out loud, and then know where the kanji is? And this is my way of trying to do all of that and reinforce everything at the same time, but in different orders. So I separate my sessions often between writing, speaking, dialogue, and if there's no context, I provide the context. For Shashingo, it's nice because the map itself is the context, right? In Duolingo, you have to provide the context. Duolingo does not provide context outside of like the stories, which after 180 days, I still haven't gotten to the first story yet. it'll be not for another month before I get to the first story thing. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing my personal sentiments about learning is that provided you have the time. Yeah, no stories yet. Um, I think because of the pace I'm going, I feel quite a lot that um people have different pace, and my pace is relatively like I don't need stories per se. I spend the time making stories along the way, so perhaps it's largely their design was that people will blitz through the lesson or something. At the moment, though, outside of Duolingo and Shashingo, which I haven't done, is I read graded readers and I listen to like blogs and podcasts in order to provide the context for the stories. Obviously, it's not foolproof because it's not normalized to the vocabulary that I have, but graded readers tend to be a excellent like substitute for the time being, right? I don't want to give the impression that I can come up with everything it to compensate for the lack of something in Duolingo. I think it's not their focus early on. Well, that's a excellent point that I like to make most of the time. I don't learn. It's interesting to me that people can learn without context, or without like context in the sense of not necessarily the literal context. Like for example, if you're learning a scientific principle, right, and it's completely abstract from your understanding, you choose to, as an adult or a person with experience, you choose not to use your own experience to provide a framework of memory for that abstract topic, like not even attempt to do so. And for myself, it's all about that. This is all I have to make a clarification, just to be clear for anyone who I'm speaking to. First, it's assumed that this is voluntary, so I'm not talking about things you have to do. And then also that you meet three resources most of the time. You have the time, the currency. Like it's basically currency. So currency is either time, money, and like energy or motivation, right? Those are things that I'm assuming are in place before saying anything. So with that said, I tend to encourage people, to challenge people to be creative as possible, to overlap all your memories, all your skills and whatnot. If you like drawing, integrate drawing into reinforcing vocabulary. Draw a scene and name everything in the scene. If you like journaling or writing stories, write broken stories. And what I mean by that is write the stories out, substitute any English words that you need, and it encourages you, and you can highlight, be creative, and you find out, you motivate yourself to learn specific words that cater to your memory, right? So for me, this is how I typically go about doing it. I engage in Shashingo, I engage with other people's conversations. The vocabulary words that I have most salient or reinforce are often from conversations with others. So the idea here is it's not focused necessarily on the quality or objective quality. I don't know how people go about measuring their objective quality of a tool, but more how to leverage that tool to encourage being creative. And that comes with tools that don't do a lot. Like, if you give a chef a chef's knife, what can that chef create, right? It's not necessarily bound by the tool itself, per se. Obviously, there are fundamental things that you must recognize that the tool can and cannot do. The idea is to be creative about it, and that creative process leads to what the acquisition of many things and many skills. If you go to Japan and you have to learn the language like full stop in immersion, you have to be creative. You got to learn how to pick up the language as you're talking around subjects and whatnot. And that problem solving, critical thinking involves creativity and some ownership of stuff. Self-study without ownership, creativity, or any form of your own personal context can work. I often just find it less efficient for me. So if I'm spending a lot of time on one word, I'm less likely to forget that word, and I no longer have to come back to it or reinforce it because that word carries on for all the others. I try to relate all the vocabulary I learned in one go and then reinforce it through contextual personalization. Like, it's personalized to me. The words I do forget are not personalized to me. So the way I would be able to remember them is if I associate it with something else that I'm having. So like if someone shares with me what their favorite word is, I'm more likely to remember it if it's a word that I don't remember already myself. Like grammar points are similar. Someone found that the grammar juxtaposition between aru and iru is incredibly interesting, and I still haven't forgotten that conversation. I think on day 11 of my language learning journey. And that's kind of the idea. And I'm doing this now with Shashingo to demonstrate, or like to myself, you know, my future self, that this is where I started. This is how my procedure is, and I'm gonna engage in other Japanese games coming up. So to Speak is another edutainment game in the future, and there's two others that are in limbo, like Wagotabi and Anji Kitchen. So I'm integrating my interest of video games, game theory, mechanics, UI design into interacting with my target language. That is what makes learning incredibly rich. Learning unnaturally to yourself, in my opinion, supersedes the concern for how natural the context itself is. So yes, I do admit or concede that it is very important to learn from natural things and good representation and stuff. That is a big concern. However, if you do not have the motivation, some motivation and all that, it supersedes that. You can't be regular, you can't retain anything if your interest is not in it. So my priority largely focuses on encouraging people. You also been... Oh, you're also waiting for Wagotabi? Yeah. Yeah, I was invited to the beta unsolicitedly. So it's like Elemental Exiles. If anyone solicits me, I typically go out of my way to evaluate it. So Wagotabi, I don't know how they came across me, but generally, so we spent like 4 days, maybe 4 days. I'm waiting for maybe a major update, and then I'll probably revisit I have like the beta, like the ongoing thing that's being updated. They recently had an update for it, but it wasn't like, it's more of a quality of life thing and slow, steady things. They recently expanded to Australia. It's first Belgium and New Zealand, and now they've added Australia for their like mobile side of things, their soft launch. And the Steam version, which is what I'm waiting for, but I do have access to the beta. It's slated for 2025, and they did disclose, Amaratsu disclosed that it really depends on if they hit their wish list milestone in Steam. So the timetable is largely a projection of how much interest there is on Steam. So I am looking forward to Magotabi and how as they move forward. And I will be regularly upkeeping with Magotabi as well. Build your tools, build your methods, the processor makes you grow, we can say that, but I think we can also leverage learning preferences as it will get you further faster. Yep. And can be motivated to learn. Yep. For instance, I've been applying a primarily listening approach. I'm not saying it's the best, but I find it more manageable. Yeah. And of course, we have to keep in mind that whole conception of innate intrinsic preferences is not to be confused, misunderstood to practice preferences. So people do have practice preference. However, that doesn't exclude you from practicing other forms of inputs if you have the time. Generally, your weakest inputs, your least practiced ones, you can learn to integrate those, and that learning process also enriches your overall study habits. So what I mean by that is that whole concept of people are born with the predilection or intrinsic nature of learning a very specific way, that is largely a misconception. That is due to like the whole archetypical, in my opinion, a trending fad about marketing tools to a learning type. The learning type comes from leveraging one's experience that they become practiced in. So if you do spend a lot of time engaging listening, the listening will become preferentially stronger due to practicing. When it comes to creativity, I would like to engage people in suggesting ideas that are outside of their preference. Because largely, if they're bored, like if someone comes up to me and say, oh, I'm kind of bored just grinding the gears, and then I would ask them, what kind of approach are you doing right now? And then they would explain something along the lines that's inferring that they have a preferred practice. So they say, oh yeah, I've been using Anki, I like these flashcard things. And then the idea is to get to encourage the person or suggest, have you considered doing this and learning the approach to doing this? Meanwhile, you're continuing to do your target study. That novelty can create another opportunity to round out the person's learning approach with a more wider umbrella of experience. It allows one to have more tools to be creative, right? Oh, thank you, Amish. So for me, I'm learning publicly because any form of criticism, any form of challenge will give me an idea of what I'm not doing. And if I'm not doing that, I can kill two birds with one stone, figuratively, right? The idea is if someone says, oh, have you used this method before? So I would try that method, learn about how that method affects me, all while at the same time exploring my target language. So I'm learning about my learning approaches on top of it. So while it might take away from the speed in which I acquire Japanese, I've learned many different things that I have not done in a long while. Like the way Duolingo approaches language learning, that is something I do not do. So that 180 days, why is Duolingo interesting to me? Why am I motivated to see what else Duolingo does? It's largely because, like most people, as a person who's over 37 years old, who's been in academia for over 18 years, two-thirds of their life, that is not my ideal approach to all the stuff that I've learned, how I learned them before. It was how I was learning stuff when I was 13 years old. So the idea is I have become under practiced. I have not practiced that type of thing. Now I use Duolingo as an opportunity while engaging in my language learning, like Japanese, acquiring Japanese and Chinese. I'm also reevaluating all the methods that they're doing that I have not done. And that to me is intellectually interesting at the expense of my Japanese progress. So you can continue to learn as fast as you can with your specialized approaches because you have been practicing all of that. For me, I'm not here to do that per se, right? I'm here to show that I can be mediocre in a lot of skills. However, together it creates a package. So as a teacher or someone who aspires constantly to be an educator or a mentor, I like to be able to offer alternatives or offer different ways of engaging the person, not necessarily um, only telling them and reinforcing them on the thing they're good at. I think there are plenty of things on the internet that tells you what you're good at and tells you what you're bad at. For me, my goal is to show you all your options, or at least encourage you to explore options and then discover if what you're good at is truly what you're good at, or maybe you can splice in some new things. Iterative, iterative innovation to your own learning strategies. Don't I typically don't settle for what I have and stay the same. I think life is very, very long enough to constantly explore. So when I ask people like, "Oh, how are you approaching learning right now? What are you doing?" Oftentimes the very first comment I get is, "Oh, the same thing I've been effectively the same thing I've been doing ever since," right? I'm like, "Oh, what's that like?" And oftentimes I hear a lack of investment from their own experiences. Like for example, someone would say something like, "Oh, I used to watch anime a lot, and that's why I'm learning Japanese." And then I ask them, "So are you watching anime in a very specific way so you can continue to watch anime?" And they're like, "No, because I need to learn the Japanese. I can't watch anime the same way anymore. Like I need to remove its subtitles and like it's become a chore." I'm like, okay. How about hear me out here? How about watching it with like a scene or an episode with the subtitles? Internalize what the subtitles or like the scene and stuff is, then go through the episode using all the context you have, your knowledge of your native language, your knowledge of the scene, the context, the things you're so used to, and then using that to frame all the things you have to be account for, which is the Japanese, for example. So that's kind of how that goes about. It's not the greatest example. It's more nuanced than that, but I just use that as maybe a surface level way. For sure, learning styles are a scam, but learning preferences are more related to intrinsic motivation. Yeah, but I didn't talk about intrinsic motivation. So, however, you're right that as educators, it's good to guide students to work on that might say they cannot do, since we as humans aren't so different, that we are hired to learn in only one specific way. Yeah, you're the most efficient in your most practiced ways, whichever they might be. It's very much serendipitous in a way, because if you're talking about intrinsic motivation comes from a level of comfort and a level of confidence as well. That's one of the biggest things, in my opinion. The driving force that is required to start a daunting task like a long life of language learning is the idea that motivation also comes from how well equipped you are, or the perception of how well equipped you are. So while you have intrinsic motivation, that still spawns from your preferences. And having more potential preferences often alleviates that feeling of like, I can't do this because I don't know where to start, or I can't do this, so that motivation just deflates entirely. So not only it's great to think about it in the moments, right, as well, but we also have to consider how well someone even starts something as well. all of that, all the things you said and more, obviously. And I hope doing that or encouraging that makes it so that it's not daunting anymore. Like, I really don't require, like, here's another extra thing. A lot of times people think, or like people give me the impression that they need to build up motivation to do something, right? For me, I am motivated by the thing itself a lot more than my intrinsic motivation. So what I mean by that is it is other people's interest. The source of motivation is not coming specifically from myself initially. The interest in edutainment video games is its ability or potential relevance to other people. I started Elemental Exiles not because I had an intrinsic motivation to look for that game. Someone else initiated it and provided that motivation for me. So it's even more than relying on intrinsic motivation. Being creative, being inclusive while you're learning also gives you many tools to relate and have unexpected source of motivation through that connection. I like drawing. So if someone is drawing, that provides more motivation to me through the act of that other person. I'm doing this in order to provide motivation for other people if so happens they're interested. They weren't necessarily intrinsically motivated to do so originally. It happens to be serendipitous that, hey, this guy really loves this thing. Now I'm motivated to do that kind of thing, right? So the statement that you're making is very inwardly looking, and that's perfectly reasonable. I agree with most of the sentiments. And then educators also have to look, outwardly as well. If you're focusing on intrinsic motivators, sometimes you can hyper focus on the idea that, oh, the student needs to make up their own motivation as well. And that's true. The student should have their own intrinsic motivation. What can you provide for them? You can provide extrinsic motivation. And oftentimes when I'm mentoring someone, I do the activity with them. So through demonstration, I can provide extrinsic motivation. I enjoy this quite a lot, and we both trust each other. How about we do it together? So that bolsters, that's an extra source. And I think earlier we were talking about the value of interpersonal skills. I typically rely on this quite a lot. And it was in the context of like digital minimalism. Parasocial relationships do not provide extrinsic motivations as much as having a direct interaction with that. So if we were to compare things, right, many times, intrinsic motivation is the major source. When you're watching a YouTuber or content creator, even now, not necessarily in this very specific, like if you're watching one of my videos or something, that might seem a bit extrinsic, which is great. Like if you're motivated by what I'm doing, that's awesome. In the end, though, I'm not actually doing anything to prompt that motivation. So you could argue that's coming from you. Like you found my content interesting. Now the question is, if you're interacting with me, I could be doing something to motivate you, as opposed to you finding out what is motivating by watching me. And I think the major source of most people's motivation these days, due to the prevalence of TikTok, YouTube, and what, it's due to parasocial relationships. So I'm not necessarily talking about that type of extrinsic motivation where you get motivated by watching something. As a teacher and an educator, you can directly influence the person in real time, and that is a that's often something that's missing in self-study, right? It's not that you need it. It's nice to have, like an online instructor or a friend in Japan or something, someone else, like a fellow language learner. I think that resource is far rarer and can be quite magical. So I hope through this, I can encourage other people to find it very, very healthy and manageable to perhaps sacrifice or trade off some of your time focusing on what you can do best for yourself while investing in some people who may ultimately create emergent properties for learning. And I have to thank like Lotus, probably Lotus the most at this point, that my conversations with Lotus is non-stop educational. Like he has this way of understanding that I don't know everything, right? Like that to learn things, right? You might be saying, well, yeah, duh, no one knows everything. You'd be surprised how much people behave like they do know everything, or that they don't need outside motivation. They don't need, interpersonal skills when learning. That's my personal opinion. I greatly, all of my aptitude and my skills and my success in academia is substantially a interpersonal thing outside of myself. So I can't divorce that from my learning as well. As much as I say this is self-study, it is nowhere in even close to self-study. And that's kind of the different thing, right? I feel like Anki gives you that impression of self-study, so I don't use Anki. Why did I choose Duolingo? Lots of people have opinions about Duolingo, and it serves my purpose, or one of the purpose. It forces the situation or the dialogue. If I was using Anki, well, Anki is self-selected in a culture of self-studiers, so naturally I would have less and less opportunities to have interpersonal interactions if I was using Anki, which I can stream Anki for sure. I get my personalized deck, and then someone would ask a one-way exchange like, oh, what's your thought on this? If I get lucky, right? That kind of thing. And like this conversation that we're having now is very informative. Anyways, yeah. Some yap, more yap. And I don't know why you keep typing LS, LS, KS, K. Maybe that's a meme, Lido, but good luck with that. It might be a meme, I don't know. Okay. Alright, let's get back to this. Sorry if... Wait, why is this like... Oh. Yeah, got it. Okay. Oh, and for the record, back to why we're here. Oh, and for the record, this is this takes priority. What I'm doing now when I'm talking about things and whatnot, this is the priority. At any time, I could just turn off the stream and study. So, I legitimately come on for these things, right? That's kind of the idea. I don't want to give people the impression that I'm giving you a speed run on how to acquire Japanese. Because I feel that's kind of the feedback I get all the time. Like, hey, do this and this. It's the best combo. That's the thing I've done. It's like, well, thank you for your advice. I don't necessarily. It would be cool, but I don't think it's necessarily appropriate for my approach. I need, that kind of thing. Anyways, I'm sure we'll get through this. It's so beautiful. I have 2 hours. Yes, I have 2 hours to get to the fifth set, and then iron out the fifth set. So not too bad. Let's see. Terebi. Uh, again, I want to emphasize. Sometimes I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not saying I do know everything. I'm using all the knowledge that I currently have, or all the experience that I currently have. If some expert comes along and say this is not the case and whatnot, that's understandable, and I'm all ears for that type of thing. The idea for me is that in the future, I can look back on this and see my inexperience and be able to understand and show how much I've grown as a learner, right? Or as a self-learner, or however this goes. I am fully aware of my incompetence, right? And I'm not uncomfortable with that. That's the whole idea. I'm a learner by trade. In academia, in nowhere in my entire life have I ever felt that I could say I'm ready for everything, I know everything, I'm more competent than the next person. In fact, the thing that drives me as a learner is being incredibly comfortable with the idea that I show and do my best in the present moment and reflect upon it at a later time. Growth is only visible when you're not trying to hide it, in my opinion, to yourself, obviously. For me, I'm doing it publicly. So I might sound like an incompetent language learner, secondary language learner now. That's there for display. I might say things that are ignorant. I might say things that might not check out later, and lots of critics will see it. The idea is, what will I look like and what will I sound like in a year when those critics interact with me and give me feedback and all that? What will that look like later? And I am fully confident that I accept the responsibility of my incompetence now, because I'm constantly doing things I'm incompetent in. That's the whole, in my opinion, the whole purpose of being a learner. If you're doing something and you're competent about it, then you're not actually learning anything, you're practicing, which is the other element of study. Study is, a combination of learning and practice. I specifically am in a state of learning. I do practice, which is what I'm doing now. However, it always tends to involve some form of learning. So I'm rarely will you ever hear me be in a competent state. The whole point of the stream is to be comfortable with your incompetence. Otherwise, you're not going to be a very great learner, in my honest opinion. Speaking of studying, I need to go set up my study room again. I just got back from 1 month project in San Diego 2 days ago. You have a very you sound like you have a very exciting life, moving back and forth and whatnot. Is that great? Like, how are you? Do you enjoy being like back in the U.S. and then going to Japan and then back? Or is there some like feeling of nostalgia? Like, how does that work? I'm not that mobile. I probably have moved like every 5 to 6 years periods of my life, but not like one in which it is like an annual cycle. It's cool that you have a study room as well. I kind of just study, sleep, and eat in the same place. That's a the trendy psychological approach. That's not quite ideal. However, the one thing I can counter argue is my current space is constantly positive. So where I eat is a positive experience. Where I sleep is also a positive experience. So ultimately, it's okay. However, having a study room, you can compartmentalize those things, which is kind of nice. I don't have a study room or an office. My bed is right there. Like on the ground. Terebi. Miru. Okay. Skeru. Skeru. I saw someone in the Duolingo channel yesterday where the person basically just had an Excel file with all the predicates conjugated from left to right, written in like hiragana and kanji, and that person legitimately just went through it systematically. I haven't tried it that way. That's a very interesting way to go about it. Like legitimately a conjugation table from left to right. So you have like the plain form going down one column and then all the subsequent conjugations going to the right. And that person was like saying each of the conjugations in a very, very regular way. I haven't really tried it that way. Interesting. My interest was very piqued. I just love watching the different ways people learn. It's so personalized. Granted, I'm not saying everyone has these things. Lots of times when you're younger or inexperienced, they tend to just go with whatever trend is great. So that's a great way to form foundations. Like, what do you do? Anki deck. What do you do? Anki deck. So what do you do with the Anki deck? You know, go through the Anki deck and then let the algorithm handle it. Great place to start, right? What do you do with Duolingo? You follow by Duolingo. And then the idea is to encourage them to continue to develop their learning skills with a starting position. And that's where you start building, right? Anyways. Kesu. This is our first set, and we're good. We're good. So this is our first set. 1 of 5. 25% the way there. Let's double check on one thing. Whoops. I want to make sure I'm not... Yes, we're fine. Okay, so that's the first set. Well, let's go to the second set. At 2 hours. 2 hours. Whoops. I don't know. Okay. Alright, second set. Whoops. No to... Pasokon. No to pasokon. Download. Download. Load. Suru. You find that the traveling part makes you grow and develop your character better? Interesting. I like that. I will always have my room in my house even when I'm gone, so I don't get that feeling that I'm like a traveling nomad. Fair. So you have like a place that you feel like you belong in both. And more like I have a main house, yes. And then secondary home elsewhere. Everywhere. That's wonderful. That's a great cogent response. You checked off a thing that I tend to ask about, which is a feeling of belonging while not feeling, you know, you have a place that's called home while navigating that. Nice. Nice. Where is that actually? Is it here in the States or in Japan at the moment? Like where do you gravitate nowadays? I haven't had the opportunity to talk to someone who has that type of lifestyle. Outside of like people who travel for business. That's probably the closest thing. Let's go. Let's go. Hmm. Okay. Makeru. Reizouko. Reizouko. 冷たい。冷やす。冷やす。入れる。レンジレンジ。温める。So you live in a small town close to Seattle, Washington for geographical reference, okay? Your family is from here and my work is mainly here as well. Oh, okay, okay. Seattle, huh? Tech. Do you work in tech? Or like, I guess you're doing school, but I'm guessing your position is also in tech? Oh wait, you said cybersecurity. The second year in cybersecurity. Do you also work right now? In that? I'm guessing like one side schooling, one side occupation. That's pretty old school. Definitely tough. You remind me of someone who is actually, my job has nothing to do with tech. Oh, you're a shipwright? Oh, okay, that's a curveball. That's a curveball. But it does scream like we are from the same generational period. A bit of pivot on the side, a bit of family concerns, a bit of adapting, and then juggling lots of things. Shipwright. Huh. I know very, very little about ships. And also, I haven't played like any, I haven't like exposed myself to any like video games or any other things that would lead me to understanding any superficial knowledge. Oh, you're 25? Dang. You've been through a lot for a 25-year-old. Oh, okay. Wow. I think that's very impressive that you're juggling all those things. The reason why I say that is you don't hear that very often anymore. It's kind of tough. I'm sure you've become aware of being that age and juggling financial security and all that stuff has become quite difficult. I guess that does explain your consideration of moving to Japan. You will be away from family though. I don't know how much of a family person you are, considering that you put off a school gap to support the family. I imagine you're pretty close with your family. At least that would be a safe presumption. Yeah, that's a tough decision. Not that native. Probably something you don't say lightly when considering the whole Japan thing. Unless your family wants to join you. That'd be interesting too. If that's financially possible. We have Akeru. Oops. Shimeru. Game. Anoshi. Atsu. Atsu. Makeru. Your life story sounds very, very interesting, having only been 25, Camish. But uh, uh, I won't. I I hope none of these questions are too personal. I'm just genuinely very interested in how younger adults are, like, the different stories that people have. I think that's what makes life incredibly rich and interesting, you know, being human, right? Hearing people's stories. I am quite a collector of people's stories. And asking questions about people and learning about them may allow me to, like, bring people together, right? I like bringing people together. Oh, not at all. I'm trying to type a quick summary. Oh, okay, okay. Fair enough. Honya. Okay. Obviously, no pressure to be comprehensive. Plenty of opportunities. At least I hope that we both live fairly healthily for the next couple years or more, right? Cow. Cow. Yomu. Shizuka. Zashi. I heard lightning. So if I suddenly just disappear, it's probably because my ISP or the power flickered. That is a occurrence that has happened recently. So no panic. No one picnic if it happens. I'll come back on whenever possible. And if I don't come back on, I hope everyone has a wonderful day and probably the rest of their lives if we ever see again, you know. Sorry. Had to throw that out there because it's happened a couple times already. Let's see. Oh, she. Yomu again. Atarashi. Omoshiroi. Uekomi. Quick summary. The summer after high school, my father lost his job, so I was doing fast food and retail. Oh, I see. Then after a year of work, I was able to get myself a shipwright help. Oh. Your dad passed 3 years into my job, so my mom got his life insurance money. And she is fully financially stable for the rest of her life. So I bought myself a house with my saved money, and I've been volunteering for traveling projects. My condolences about your father. I'm glad to hear your mother is stable financially. I hope she's also emotionally been able to work with that as well. And yourself, of course. Losing a father at such a young age is something that can be incredibly, you know, early on can be incredibly devastating, but at the same time can be very powerful. Then after Japan and therapy, I came to conclusion you wanted to live in Japan and start a new life over there. Oh, okay. I see. Would your mother also be interested in joining you? It's always kind of nice to have whatever, you know, keeping whatever family close by. That's a pretty amazing story, or pretty quick story, and I can fill in the blanks to some extent. Good for you, Hamish. Good for you. Way to go. Way to go. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. You have a long life ahead of you, hopefully. Right. Uekomi. So, what is it about Japan that interests you? How'd you get interested in Japan? Your mom says she will only visit me for Hawaii or Guam assignment. What's your mom's like perspective on Japan. Hawaii, I mean, Hawaii, it's got like a hybrid feeling going on. I do know a Hawaiian for some time now over the internet, but uh, well, why not Japan for your mom? Uh, Shizen. Let's see, Shizen. Awfully specific for Guam and Hawaii. Akureru. Akureru. That's a bunch of questions. So, like, Japan, you, and your mom's perspective, per se. Love to hear. What's going on there? I'm missing one. Onya. Oh, Chizu. 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 Miru. Iku. Sagasu. Alright. Nope. I'm pretty confident in my strokes there. So that's set 2. Let's move on to set 3. Okay. 40% the way there. She only wants to travel if it's like tropical vacation area. Japan to my mom is like any other Asian country from her point of view, since she is from a rural area. I see. You should totally convince her to go to Okinawa though. You know, Okinawa. I think that can be. Wait. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know your mom, but this is for humor. Tell her like, what do you think of this place? And then you just give her like a bunch of pictures of Okinawa, and then she's like, oh, it looks very tropical. And then you say, you want to go here? And then you travel there. It's like, welcome, and then you just don't tell her. I guess it's kind of hard to cover up. Like, where am I going? It's like Okinawa. Like, that sounds Japanese. Like, no. It's an island in the Pacific. I could see, depending on like how close your relationship is with your mom, I would totally pull I would totally pull a stunt like that. Just I've been watching too much YouTube clips, I suppose, and like influencer life, but I can only imagine how this like incredibly romantic gesture where a loving son takes their mother to a place despite her opinions. Okinawa with photos is an easy sell, honestly. Yeah, Okinawa, when I'm thinking of like someone who really likes tropical and islands, Okinawa is incredibly beautiful. It's a great place to visit, obviously, for traveling. And then you have that tropical vibe. When she mentioned Hawaii, I thought about Okinawa when it comes to the intersection between Japan, like a Japan alternative. Or you can be super cruel and just take her to Hokkaido during the winter festival. What I'm gathering is your mother likes warm climates. The warm climates, as opposed to like the opposite, you know, finding the beauty in doing warm activities in cold places. Like Hokkaido during Winter Festival would probably sound like something like your mother would give you the stink eye the whole time. Like, why is this fun? Like snow. Snow. Very, very cold. And also delicious, delicious dairy products and not sure if you guys are what your dietary things are, but meat, like lamb meat and stuff. Sorry, I'm like haven't ever been to Japan. However, you know, I'm one of those peeps who probably read quite a bit about Japan, and I I like to brainstorm and vicariously offer traveling ideas to those who do have an opportunity in their lives to go and travel. Provide that extra motivation. Like, hey, when you're in Japan, make sure to visit, you know, X, Y, and Z, take a picture, and just, you know, come back and tell me all about it. Or something like that. You just get like that extra hype. Put in more into it. Right. I'm certainly not elevating, like, I don't have a very high impression of my value to someone, but if it pushes a person even the slightest to achieving and going towards the thing that they want that makes them happy, I'm all for it. So any type of really weird input is, I might also be encroaching on people's personal space a lot of times. For that, I apologize. So I tend to ask uh, persistently when I'm possibly crossing the line. The Mr. Beast experience, indeed. By just uprooting someone and doing something wildly extreme. Very romantic. Very romantic. Okay, let's continue. Koushu Toire. Real talk, one of the things that I kind of wanted to do is involving this. Just go into a public toilet. Koushu Toire. That's one of the thoughts I, that's probably the first thing I'll probably encounter. Go to the nearby, you know, um, Koen. Go to the nearby Koen and then go into a Koushu Toire and see what it's like. Weird, I know. It's not that creepy, okay? I just want to know. Want to know. All right. Sakasu and Bendy. Anna. Ide. Oh, missed my stroke there. Mizuo Yaru. Oops. Mizuo Yasu. Mizuo Yaru. MAKU. Jito Han Baiki. That he is too clustered. That's fine. Jito Han Baiki. I always wanted to go to Japan as a teen and young adult since I was a moderate fan of anime. When I got there, the food was amazing, the streets were clean, and everyone was very nice. Alright. Then I became good with friends with a coworker. Alright, I got introduced to his Japanese friend group. Got really attached to the life I had there. I see. After 4 months, I got comfortable being away from the US. I have the feeling where you have been there long enough that it was the new normal for you. Ah, well there you go. It's interesting how life works out that way. I can definitely see that that is definitely something that you kind of answered 2 or 3 other follow-up questions I had. Well, that does sound like how possible is it for you to make that transition to being in Japan? Aksan. Yasui. Bendy. Nomimono. Nomu. Sosoku. Sawayaka. Ooh, traveling. Your all-time dream is to travel the world? That sounds like fun. Maybe you can have eyes. I hope you will be able to someday or soon. When I come back, it was nice to see the family, but everything in life just felt like a tier below what you have. That's fair enough. Plus, I had a girlfriend when I was in Japan, and since I wasn't sure when I would come back, we decided to break it off on my last day there. Ah, I see. Then dating became a challenge since I'm only in the same spot at most 6 months out of the year. Ah, yeah. Being unable to put down roots, yeah, in that type of lifestyle. Understandable. So when, I guess now it's a foregone conclusion. So it's not about if, but when are you gonna make the transition to Japan, you think? Any ideas yet? Oh. Oops. Gomi bako. Gomi bako. Itanai. Ippai. Hmm. Recycle. Recycle suru. Neko. Zuru ga shikoi. Zuru ga shikoi. Kau. Hawaii. I think 2 years from now is when you would make this decision, go full-time in Japan. I have like 4 different paths in your head. It's great to have options. For now, I leave in a couple of months for a 6 to 8 months trip in Japan, so I'll have a better idea for that trip. Excellent. Excellent. You wish you could travel like that. Half eyes. One day, make your dreams come true. I see, so you want to be a globetrotter. Well, I hope you have the opportunity to do so sometime in your life. 2 years, huh? So, we're gonna... I look forward to what that looks like in 2 years. It'll be interesting. Oh, I can totally ask you about Japan stuff, like from a foreigner perspective. Right this moment, I've met a silly goober who is currently visiting Japan. And one of the main activities this goober mentioned was climbing Mount Fuji-san. And I have yet to hear back from him. I don't know how long he's gonna be gone. I think it's like all of August. Traveling is good even outside your city. Indeed. I've moved around a couple of times in my life because of academia. So, I'm no stranger to moving around. Probably, and I've studied abroad once in my life. Just once. I studied it abroad in New Zealand. And other than that, traveling does the position, the stuff does involve traveling. Not as of late. Not as of late. The thing that I keep most consistent is a anime convention called Otakon, or Asian pop culture convention called Otakon every year, which I just happened to coincidentally. It occurred at the beginning of August, just 3 weeks ago. I'm doing that for the last 17 years as a palate cleanser. Gaito. Hosoi. Takai. Akarui. Akarui. Karaoke. Warau. Ureshi. Ureshi. Utao. Alright, that's our third set. I didn't get stuck on anything, so we're pretty good. That's our third set. So 60%. Okay, let's move to the other end. You have our own. Oh, you have your own version of Otakon? Yeah. Oh, Sakura-kon? Yeah. In Seattle. And then if you're like in the California area, it's the Anime Expo, probably the biggest in the West Coast. But yeah, Sakura-kon, I'm familiar with that too. There's this like thing, if you go to like one big anime or like Asian pop culture convention, the people you meet there, I work at Otakon, so I do registration at Otakon. So after a while, all the people kind of discuss other conventions and their like organizations and volunteering all the time. So it comes up quite a lot. Yeah, Sakura-kon came up every once in a while. Yeah, not so much Anime Expo, and then there's like smaller ones like Katsucon and whatnot. They get thrown a lot around. Once you go to a convention center, or a convention, you kind of hear, like, where are you going next? Where are you going next? Interesting life, hobbies. I like working, so I know how this sounds, but I go to conventions to work and like interact with people that do things for other people. I like doing things for people. Like within a reasonable realm of possibilities, right? Like people who are like trying to enjoy themselves and stuff, not in the sense of helping people to do something that elicits self-harm or misdirection or like negligence or neglect kind of thing. But whenever I see people trying to have fun and be passionate about the things they love, it's so palpable when you can be a part of trying to make that happen. Oh yeah. I don't know why I keep bringing up the book. Okay. So set number 4. I've said this before. I'm kind of in the stage of my life where I I like the idea of raising a kid or dealing with like working with kids, working with young adults, and just seeing them make strides and progress. That's kind of like the state of mind I'm in nowadays. Not really motivated to elevate my own position in any way too much anymore. I just like making other people, especially younger people. We're not talking about like the independent people, right? Like people who are more successful than me or all those. They can. I take advantage of what they're doing. Like they're helping me, right? All the products and all the stuff, and that they're helping me, and I want to pass that along. I think most of my life I've been surrounded by very serendipitous encounters with people who took up a ignorant person and gave myself a chance, right? They gave myself a chance. So that's kind of how my life experience altered my perspective, or maybe in a naive sense, but I want to continue believing that's kind of how investment foreign people came about. And there was like a long discussion before that about sustainability and lifestyle, but it all comes from that perspective that I've been pretty lucky in my life, so I want to invest it for it. That's super cool, bro. Helping about the younger generation point as a part of as a part of them myself. You've already given me a lot of inspiration. I'm grateful for you. Well, thank you. Those are really kind words. And I hope in turn one day you will inspire and raise little ones of your own, and travel the world and not be a silly goober, not be one of those silly goobers that don't keep in mind that you can make a very, very wonderful role model and impact on the ones even younger than you, right? So that's kind of what I like about teaching and being an educator. Obviously, I'm not a teacher and educator anymore, or I can still be one per se. However, I think that's also for other people. Um, it's one of the most rewarding aspects when you like not really like they ask for it, but you provided some sort of inspiration or guidance, and then they in turn recognize that and invest for it. I think that's one of the most fundamental rewarding things that one can do with one's life. At least that's in my opinion. And raising a family, if not one of your own, right? Like surrogately, the friends you make along, being part of their family, etc. However it looks, it can look very different in many different ways. But just having this continuum of humanity is, it's kind of like something written in the movies or in the TV shows. I kind of like to continue to believe that. That's how the internet started, honestly. In a way. I'm not so sure about how the internet is now. Or, okay, I have thoughts and whatnot, and I like to try my best to offer a different perspective. I do get a little concerned and disappointed when my algorithm has more things about what you can't do versus what things you can or try to do. Oftentimes that's a little bit concerning. Obviously it doesn't necessarily affect me directly. Whether it affects younger people, that's definitely a very hot topical issue right now, especially among like leaders, which I am not one, but I follow those topical arguments and debates. Hobby shop. Let's see. Scooter. Scooter. Tateru. Chumi. Actually, what is your Japanese proficiency now, Kamish? How long have you, like, you said from 2 years ago, but now you are doing Genki structure with online instructor. How's that going? Like, where are you now in your language learning? Game center. Not that it'll be really all that relevant when you make the 2-year move, because living in a place that is that will inevitably like work out itself. Game center. Okay. Urusai. Anoshi. Asobu. Okay. Jitencha. Jitencha. Ayai. Ayai. Oh, yes. Okay. Osoi. Osoi. Noru. Noru. Uh. Kamera. Kamera. Toru. Uh. Sashin. Oh. No one saw that. Satsue suru. You're not as far as you would think in terms of JLPD. I'm still working on your N5. Okay. When I first started learning Japanese, I was studying 15 minutes to 45 minutes a day. Okay. Then in Japan, I was learning about an hour a day. I took a year break from studying since I was doing domestic US assignments. I wasn't fully convinced at the time I wanted to fully do Japan. I think I started fully committing myself to Japanese 3 months ago, since I found a good way to still do college schoolwork and your job. Oh, that's a lot. Well, welcome, welcome. We can one day talk about talking Japanese together. I always look forward to it. I have this like romantic image, like a year from now or two, where it would just be back and forth. And it was slipping in and out of different languages. I have so many people who are currently in different places and starting up, and I can't even imagine what it's going to be like in a year from now. We'll have to talk about Japanese, like the language, more so often in the future. as we continue our studies in different ways. Amira. So where are we going from here? Sankaku-kon. Sankaku-kon. Ongata. Ongata. Koji. Koji. That's kind of a slim Koji. Okay. Oh, that top portion is a little bit thick. Fine. Oku. Oku. Chochin. Chochin. Akarui. Karui. Yura Yura. Your next milestone should be about 2 months from now. That's when you should be able to pass the JLPT and 5. Keep up the great work. I look forward to hearing your progress. If there's anyone that you can like humble brag or even celebrate, I'm definitely here for it. I don't like hearing people spam me. It's kind of like what Duolingo does, the feed. I kind of like being spammed by people's accomplishments. Keeps me motivated. You know, be part of a thriving community of excellence, or some sort of like construct of that. Where are we going from here? Oh, okay. Botoru Creato. Akobu. Akobu. Oh, wait, actually. Actually, I might have been... I'm gonna have to double check this one. This is Hakobu. That feels right. I think. Hakobu... I missed on this one of these last time. Yesterday. MAKU. This one. Oh wait, no I didn't. I took a guess. I could jab at it and it turned out to be the correct thing. Which I think it was this. Okay. Tsumikasa Neru. Shichikaiki. Shichikaiki. Oh. Omoi. Oki. And Mawaru. Alright. Let me double check the one, right? Son of a bee sting. No, that's an error. Okay. Okay. So we got one error. That's fine. We'll get that next time. I got a little carried away with that. Okay. I think the rest is fine. Yep. Alright. So, that's 80%. We'll say like 79%, right? And now we have the 4 new ones. And then we'll add the other 4. We got 50 minutes. 50 minutes. Not too bad. Okay, actually, let's name the 8 things that we have. Because I don't think I remember. even how to write some of them. Hmm. Okay, we have. Hmm. Manhole. 居酒屋。居酒屋。食べ物。食べ物。スマホ。スマホ。Yeah, those are the 4 that we really ironed out. Man, the next 4 is kind of loose. Isu, Isu, Isu. And this one's kind of loose. I'm gonna skip this one for now. It's Keijiban. Keijiban. Nah. I got like loose things here and there. Not enough to feel. No. Not enough to feel it. So Keijiban. Keijiban. Oh, actually. Boraku. Boraku. And Danboru Bako. Danboru Bako. Maho is always a funny one to you. I know, right? Instead of using Denwa. Denwa. Maho. Yeah, I have no idea what Keijiban is. Yeah, I rely a lot more on listening. So a lot of times when if I'm like gonna take in everything, like if I'm reading and listening at the same time, usually uh phonological stuff. So things that deal with sound comes first often. So my speech and listening comes first a lot of times because I'm more practiced in that. I'm not like someone who enhancedly writes a lot or do a lot of creative writing and stuff. And obviously reading comprehension goes it's a different like discipline altogether. So Keijiban. Like if I saw Keijiban like right here, I would know it's Keijiban. But it's a whole different story when you're constructing and writing at the same time. The whole writing thing, the way I'm doing it, is to really push kind of like push myself, encourage myself to construct the thing, like pull it out of my butt, if you will. Just pull the stuff out of my butt. And I believe it's an investment forward in the long run. So Keijiban. Yeah, I definitely remember writing that yesterday, but oof, okay. Alright. So Keijiban. Let's internalize this or try to again. Okay. Alright, let's take a look. Whoops. Okay. Also, Damage, I don't want you to feel like uh you're interrupting me, right? I think that's also worth mentioning. I'm here to be interrupted. Otherwise I'd be just dying on my own, right? So I derail all the time. It's like the theme of this. When people see a lot of times, you know, not everyone has the time to watch like 8 to 10 hours. Honestly, I'm like studying like half the time. Because whenever someone mentions something interesting, I'll be talking about it for like an hour or two or something. Here and there. Happens a lot. I'm the yap champion. According to the kiddos. I yap a lot. And that's what I'm here for. No, not at all. I kind of figured when the derail was like 30 minutes, that's just how it goes here. Yeah, okay. Uh, some some peeps these days, you know, like, especially younger peeps, find it like, oh, you know, I don't want to interrupt you. You're here to do something. And I'm like, I know how that kind of feels for a lot of people, but I'm really here for you, really. Like whoever the stranger. Like, if you need some time, if you want to say something, you got my attention. Otherwise, I wouldn't be online doing this. Um, I know that other adults, you know, the other peeps, time is money. They want to focus, they want to record and stuff. I'm not doing that. I'm not like a professional where time is somewhat equated to money or anything like that. Although, obviously, I always appreciate when someone um go out of their way and say, yeah, okay, enough distracting you. I want to see you get better at Japanese, and that's perfectly fine too. Lotus does that a lot. He's like, he would ask a question, he would know how long we would chat, and then after a while he'd be like, okay, now you just got to get better at Japanese. I'm like, yeah, all right, fair enough. I think if my Japanese study gets like completely derailed, that only means I'm having a fun time and I've interacted with a lot of people. So, you know, whatever the outcome is, it's going to be a positive one for me. I think it's very different for the vast majority of content creators that I have had the privilege to come across. They're there to demonstrate something, like to demonstrate their proficiency, share their passion, and whatnot. And they're not too different from me, only my passion isn't. It's hard to demonstrate without having someone to talk to. So my passion, right, my skill, at least in my opinion, the skill that I can demonstrate fairly okay, like above average, is problem solving and critical thinking. So you could kind of demonstrate that when learning something, and you kind of demonstrate that when you're playing a video game. However, that's pretty superficial, right? What I mean is, not to sound like a snob, learning how to learn a language is far, in my opinion, light years from being able to make someone feel comfortable in their skin, encourage them, motivate them to solve and navigate like the things that are happening in their lives. That is far cry from something static like learning vocabulary and making sure you're on it. I know I'm not trying to trivialize how difficult and how long Japanese is. To me, the skill that I most practice is interacting with people, or like how to get people to interact with each other, kind of speaking, not necessarily like solving problems. I don't think learning a language is necessarily solving a problem that is mandatory. It's trying to develop and learn things voluntarily, right? The stuff that I'm talking about are people who they love language learning and now they don't. Let's talk about it. At least what's relevant to language learning at the point. Or is someone saying like, I've tried everything and I just can't seem to learn Japanese. Let's talk about it. That kind of thing. And it's kind of like plus the self-study and everything else. And in order for me to demonstrate that, it does involve literally having people candid enough and willing to discuss it, right? So legitimately, that's my only marketable skill, I would say. If I had to put something on my resume nowadays as a filler, quote unquote filler of my qualifications, it's usually I can resolve problems, conflicts of interest, or even internal conflicts of interest when someone's like fighting themselves, like self-loathing, or providing consultation for like performance or something, like a confidence coach or something like that. That's probably my one marketable skill at this point. Everything else is knowledge bound, so those knowledge bound things means if I'm out of date, then I'm out of date. Like my science is behind, so I'm not qualified to be a specialist in the science that I have because it's out of date. Obviously, I could study up and get back up to speed with that. So oftentimes, I'm like, if the person's healthy, if I can get the person healthy, loving to feel incompetent, but also striving to learn and being comfortable in knowing that you can't know everything and having to not worry about what's doing the best and how it will look in 2 years, then I think ultimately the rest is history. You can learn a language if you can circumnavigate the stuff that's stopping you. And it doesn't have to be language learning, obviously. Just so happens that I'm interested in language learning right now. My my plug is, if you can do this with language learning, you can do it with many, many other things. And hopefully you can also do it with life skills, like overcoming social insecurities, learning how to navigate political office problems in the work environment, right? How to negotiate, how to read conversational subtext, largely in English because I have no subtextual understanding in Japanese. Perhaps maybe in the future I might have some inkling of it. Although you can definitely understand someone without a spoken language. You can definitely use nonverbal cues and whatnot to accent and understand where it's coming from. Things like that. Sorry, I was buying my time. Oh hey, look, it's the daily bot. Nice. I was beginning to wonder when I was gonna get my daily bot. Sometimes I get 2. If I get lucky, I get 3 sometimes. Hello, daily bot. Yeah. Yeah, goodbye, daily bot. It's 1 per day, on average. Good old daily bot. Alright. So, let me engrave Keijibon again. Such a weird combination. Okay. See, these two, right? These two right here kind of reminds me of food. But Keijiban has nothing to do with food. Alright, hold up. Maybe I can think of it differently. Go. Alright. Okay, let's see if I can remember anything from yesterday about these 4 things. Manhoru. So we have Kinzoku. Kinzoku. What the heck is Zoku? No, I had trouble with Zoku. Oh, wait. No. No, I had problems with Zoku yesterday. Manhoru. We have Anna. Oh. Mawaru. Marui. Marui. Izakaya. Dang it. What is it? So I only remember the... I'm surprised I remember the right hand one. It's the one I was struggling with. Kanpai. Kanpai. Oh wait, I remember it. Just the sound makes me remember it. Wait. There we go. Actually, I'm not sure about the left radical. We'll guess. I'm gonna guess this. It might be a different radical though. Just looking at that makes me think it's a different radical. It's okay. I just remember the chu. The chu. Oh. Actually. So Nomu. And Tegoro. 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 Nope. Well, it's Tegoro. Let's see. Yeah, Kaberu. Oishii. Arai. Smaho. 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 Kakeru. Oh no. I only remember parts of it. Wait. I don't know what the right radical is. Maybe it's water? Nah, that doesn't look right. Maybe it's this? No, that doesn't look right. Maybe it's this? Let's just use water. I don't think that's it. Jiden suru. Jiden, yeah. Jiden suru. Jiden suru. Jiden suru. Jiden suru. Oh. Have to listen to it again. Dense. That doesn't sound right. Okay. Ah, what is it? No. Nope. It's lost. Lost to the ether. Bango. Bango. Okay, let's see what the damage is. So, let's look at Eijiban first. Eijiban, okay. Oh no, I wasn't. No. I wasn't close. That's not what I was thinking. Oh, it's that radical. Ugh. Egoro. Oh, wait. It didn't have a radical. Oh, that would explain a lot. This thing didn't even have a radical. It just stood alone. Huh. Okay. And... Inzoku. I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry about that. Oh, Inzoku is pretty toxic. The Zoku. You need like a lot of space. Holy heck. Hang on. So Kinzoku. And Tegoro. I saw it. And it's gone. Okay. And then what was... Oh. Alright. Okay. Okay. Inzoku. Try to get the first 4. Yeah, Keijiba. 보이지만. Alright. 인석. Wait, did I even fix? No, I didn't. What was Oh. I didn't even check this. Okay. Okay. Degoro. Okay. Let's try this again. Oops. All right. Okay. Inzoku. No. Marui. Izakaya. 乾杯 乾杯 飲む 手頃 手頃 食べ物 食べる おいしい 辛い スマホ 開ける I didn't listen to a voice sample. 充電する 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 No, 充電する 電話電話番号番号 Okay. And we should add the other 4. Isu. Isu. Uh-oh. Never. Keijiban. Keijiban. What? Taco. You're gonna head out and finish up prepping for work tomorrow? Thanks. I'll have a good, yeah, I'll try to have a great stream. Good luck to you tomorrow. Good luck with everything until we talk again. Good luck with everything. Hopefully everything goes well. Keep up the great work. If someone doesn't ever tell you that enough, keep it up. I'm sure you got this going. Good luck with your language learning too. And I'll see you when I see you. Thank you for the conversation, by the way, Hamish. Welcome back, Parthi. Welcome back. Okay. Let's make sure. So we're good with that. We're good with that. Good with those. Mm-hmm. Alright. So, okay. Let's add the last couple. We have 7 minutes left. Man, I really thought I had a lot of time. But man, I'm running out of time again. Okay, let's see. Suwaru. Oh, it's using, zo. Zo. Let me double check the stroke order on zo. Or Suwaru. My eyes! Okay. Alright. Suwaru. Suwaru. Yep. Checks out. Okay. Suwaru wobble? Oh no. Okay, it's fine. Gura gura. Gura gura and kishi kishi. Yeah, gishiski. No, kishi kishi. That's fine. Those are freebies. Gura gura and kishi kishi. Kishi kishi. Inform. This is the same character as Senden. Den. Senden suru. That's shitairu. Shitairu. Okay, shitairu. Alternative. Read. Shitairu. Atadashi. Really? I guess. I see what they mean by atadashi. Atadashi. Like, what's like new postings and stuff. Atadashi. And then yomu. That's fair. Fair enough. We got some freebies. Not that. Very desirable. New vocabulary is still new vocabulary, right? Oh, vocabulary. Practice. Untensuru. Oh, interesting. It's the same ten from jitencha. Okay. And then is the same from hokobu. Hakobu. Hakobu. So it's a combination of hakobu and like carrying, driving. Okay. Yeah, I see. Like carrying someone by moving to drive. Okay. Or maybe it's like wheeled. Wheeled carry to drive. Okay, oki. And oh yeah, todokeru. Okay. I don't have a mnemonic for that. So toraku. Oh wait, hold up. I think I still made the error on Hokobu. Yeah, I added a little stroke on the top. There's no stroke at the top. So I gotta fix that error tomorrow. There's no like little dash at the top. It's just straight up this. Okay. Actually, yeah, that was incorrect. This way. Untensuru. Untensuru. And we have Hoki. And Todokeru. Todokeru. My guess is like this. Alright, let's check this out. Todokeru. Okay. No, it's not. Okay. Fair enough. They do the verticals before the horizontals. So fair enough. Todokeru. And we have Danboru Bako. Danboru Bako. Yeah, Tsumeru. Okay, Tsumeru. Oops. Meru. And then Hakobu again. And then Akeru. Okay. Alright. Take a look. So let's double check on No, we already double. Alright. We're falling behind. It's 8. It's 8 already. Okay. We have Isu, Suwaru. Actually, let's check Suwaru again. Did I already check this? Yeah. Okay. Suwaru. 座る。ぐらぐら。ギシギシ。いや、掲示板。スタイル。スタイル。スタイル。スタイル。スタイル。正しい。読む。self-explanatory. Yeah, トラック。運転する。うんふん。うんふん。うんふん。大きい。段ボール箱。段ボール箱。いや、運ぶ。はい。運ぶ。Yes. 埋める。埋める。埋める。and開ける. I think we got this. We got this. All right. Let's start with the bottom. All right. And then we get a break from Shashingo tomorrow. I might actually take a break from Elemental Exiles as well. Tomorrow's Neverwinter Day. Okay, start with so much to do, so little time. Itsu. Itsu. Subaru. Ne? What the heck is what are the other things? Subaru. What else do you do on a chair? I honestly don't remember anything else you do on a chair. You just sit on a chair. What? So much for freebies. You know, we were describing the chair. I can't remember to describe the chair. Gura gura. Let's go. play areas. Kishi. Ah, Kishi. Okay, we have. Whoops. Not again. Oh. Keijiban. Keijiban. No. Gairu. Gairu. Tarashi. Yomu. Okay. Okay. Toraku. Toraku. Untensuru. Untensu. Okay. I was avoiding the one that I forgot. Odaku. We'll skip that for now. That was the last thing. Okay. Dang it. Oh, wait. No. Wait, it's this? Sumeru? Where is it? Skeru. Okay, I need to look that up again. There's Akeru and Hakobu. What the heck was this third one? Toraku. No idea. Oh, Todokeru. Todokeru. Oh, wait. Oh, no, that's fine. Todokeru. Okay. That's what I was writing at first. For a different word. Okay. Todokeru. Alright. One more time, right from the top. Isu. Aru. Kuda kuda. Ishikishi. Ishikishi. Eijiban. Skairu. Skairu. Atarashi. Ne? Just dropping things all the time. Oops. Yomu. Yomu. Oraku. Unten suru. Okay. Todokeru. Danball bako. Tsumeru. Is it kameru? Kameru? I might be reading that incorrectly. It might be kameru. No, sumeru sounds nicer. Oh, we'll find out soon enough. Kobu. Makobu. Akeru. It's at the other 4. Manhole. Kinzoku. Ana. Marui. Izakaya. Kanpai. Kanpai. Nomu. Tegoro. Hmm. Abemono. Taberu. Oishii. It has a little spaced out. Arai. Sumaho. Kageru. Judensuru. Judensuru. Okay. Denwa Bango. Okay. I want to check. There are a few things I need to check. I probably forgot what I needed to check. Everything looks fine. Yeah, everything's in order. Alright, so that's a wrap for Shashingo today. So now tomorrow I take a break, right? Take a break from the SRS, from Shashingo. If we can remember this stuff. I think if we come back, right? We come back and I nail the previous sets, I'll skip those sets. Any set that I drop something, I'll continue to do those sets. So I think we can drop some of these sets. And then every new cycle, every new set, I'll go over it again and see if they stick, right? And that's kind of our schedule for extracting. I mean, with this, we're close to a third. No, not really a third. The next set will be a third of the way. Although some of these sets are going to be a lot easier than the others because there's lots of repeats as well. So once we get like some foundations, ooh, honestly, there's quite a lot of kanji. Alright, so let's pet the cat. Alright. Let's go and Inu-chan. Inu-chan, and then call it a day for Shashingo. We're 30 minutes over. It's not too bad. Hello there, little guy. Alright. Alright, that's wrap for Shashingo. We did it. Got it done. Moving right along. We had a take-home message for Shashingo too. And I think the take-home message is largely with time, you know, with resource permitted, right? If you have the time, the money, right? If you have the currency, which includes the time, the money, the energy, right? The motivation, so to speak, right? The motivation. It's great to try to aim to be creative. Make room for more creativity and expand your inputs. I think it goes a long way to be able to curate and work on learning while learning something, in my opinion. And in the future, those types of skills really go forward. So what happens, you know, when you learn another language and another language? I get that intuitively over time. When you learn your first language, some people will say like, oh yeah, learning a second language, learning a third language is not so bad, and so on. It can be even less than that, right? The more you develop your skills, in learning while learning, goes a long way. It's one of the fundamentals in my opinion. It's proceeding before that. So learn to keep yourself motivated. That's good. Record and talk about what keeps you motivated in your second language, and then transcribe that and continue to iterate on it for your third language, etc., right? I think there isn't necessarily, okay, this is like a weird way to look at it, but I think there are enough strategies and creativity for a lifetime. So personally, resting on one's laurels and become complacent in one's way of thinking and whatnot can be useful when you're doing the grind, as in like when you're working something that you have to, maybe you're not voluntarily doing it. That's perfectly reasonable. Like I maintain my fitness, right? It's maintenance. I haven't necessarily iterate on it too often. It's spaced out pretty often. Like every 3 months I would iterate on something to keep my motivation running. However, when you're voluntarily doing things, it's even more encouraged, in my opinion, to explore and be creative. What you set in motion now is a great investment in the future. I think tasks become progressively less daunting that way. If you love learning and you constantly continue to learn, the more strategies you have in your pocket, the more you keep thinking like, oh yeah, no worries, whatever I got, I'll make it work. That kind of feeling earnestly comes from piling on and on whenever opportunities provide yourself, right? Whenever the opportunities show themselves, it's a great way to do something extra. Yeah, you can sacrifice a little bit, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes here off your inevitable life skills in learning a language for an investment in another skill that will continue to pay back in dividends, in my opinion. And certainly there are going to be ups and downs. That's kind of the refinement process. You're going to try some things, they might not work, but you'll take what worked as part of them and what didn't work, and then use it to continue to hone your experience. I think there's a whole dimension of understanding how one learns that is context independent. As in, those are skills that don't only apply to language learning. It doesn't only apply to Japanese, right? So understanding that makes one an active learner. I think there's a difference between someone who wants to learn Japanese and someone who likes to learn things. Learning Japanese can be incredibly specialized to the point where you can have things like, oh, I rely on this tool and it's only accessible because the Japanese community supports this tool. Like, for example, now you're going to go around and look for a tool that's exactly like how you learn Japanese, and you hope there is such a tool. If not, you're going to go and try to build it on your own, and that's diminished return. Personally, I like to explore all these things, and in the future, like Chinese, for example, is there going to be a Shashingo for Chinese? Probably not. I mean, maybe some substitutes, but the substitutes are due to your creativity. Oftentimes, you're not going to have an identical experience most of the time. And learning how you can pivot and adapt to that is great. Do I have to use Duolingo? No, absolutely not. Do I have to use Anki? No, not really. And then sometimes when you move to another language, they're going to be different. Even in Duolingo itself, the languages are supported differently. I imagine Anki is the same, actually, because the pool of creators for the Anki decks in the Japanese language learning community, or whatever, the Anki community, right, is still going to differ from the Chinese one. So, learning to look and refine and do things when it's not all there. Personally, I think it's a really wonderful skill. Would it be necessary to be successful? Absolutely not. I do not believe it is necessary. I think we live in a day and age where there's wonderful creators, wonderful people who make tools for basically everything. There is got to be something to say about very specialized tools. They typically are narrow in focus and they have one use. So it's kind of like buying that kitchen gadget that some person says is specifically designed to do this one task. That's kind of how I feel sometimes when people go about their studying plans. They specifically hone in on the idea that this is the one-off that they're going to do. They're not going to do anything else. This is the one-off. This is the best. Nothing is going to change your opinion about it. And that will be fine. As long as I hope you make it to the whatever your goal is. Right? Hopefully you don't get bored. Hopefully everything works out. If you're not one of the people that are getting bored, by all means, go for spinning the wheel, right? On the other hand, for those who might be interested, this is personally how I find that I get up, I get excited every day, see what is there to do. Maybe any little thing can just spiral me off into wild ideas. There are trade-offs too. If you're kind of like me, I do have a habit of being unfocused. So I need to work on that. So largely, I try to counter that by being overly enthusiastic. Because I get derailed all the time, right? My goal is that too. So technically, kind of a mixed bag. If I want to learn Japanese, I will have to focus harder. That doesn't take away from my motivation though. So if I restrict myself to not doing that, then I become less and less motivated. And that's kind of how you're understanding oneself. I understand myself well enough to understand if I don't have human interaction or some sort of project in addition to the act of acquiring a language, then I won't likely not be engaged. Right. So there you go. Anyways, there you have it. End of today. I'm going to change gears now. Thanks for listening, guys. Show on the next stream of Shashingo, right? Which will be a day from now. Will be 2 days from now, since tomorrow is Neverwinter, or it will be the day after tomorrow. All right.